Hey guys, it's Mike. This is my first video on King Arthur Legends Rise. I've been playing this game for about a week now and I've been having a lot of fun with it. The more I play it, the less I want to play Raid. It is a pretty engaging game. It's a little bit like drinking out of a fire hose when you start. I think the onboarding process is a little bit overwhelming at times. They throw a lot at you really fast, but after you kind of start getting the hang of different things, it really starts to come together. The game is super fun. Like I said, I've been playing for about a week. I've already actually pulled 2 legendary heroes in that time frame, so they have a really good drop rate. They have a very generous pity system going on with some of the events where after 50 summons you're guaranteed a character, which is pretty cool. And I know with Raid, like the pity system doesn't kick in on ancient shards until 200 and then you get escalated. It'll take you all the way to 220 before you're guaranteed, and we know how rare those are. You also get a lot more of these summoning idols or whatever they are throughout the game, and they do pretty good as far as keeping those coming to you as long as you are leveling up. I did find this area down here, which I feel like is probably one of the better areas to see what you need to do next and where you've actually accomplished different tasks, and it'll kind of keep you moving through and accumulating all the rewards as you progress through the game. Currently, I've been spending most of my time in the story mode. I am on to chapter 10 at I believe the boss, but I'm on normal, so I haven't even got to hard yet. And then adventure mode is kind of fun too. It kind of has that open world feel where you're wandering around, you're looking for chests and orbs and different things, as well as completing tasks. So you can see here I got chapter 1 100%. I found all the items in there. In chapter 2 there was a weird well you go down, and then once it kicks you out it wouldn't let me go back down there. So I fought the boss and there was an orb behind him that I couldn't get, or a soul fragment that I couldn't get, and then I went back down to I tried to go back down. I couldn't figure out how, so I'm gonna have to keep playing around with that to see how that works. Just started chapter 3, but it's kind of a cool adventure mode. It's just a different type of game style, which is kind of fun. The main story has multiple chapters, and you do run around inside the world, and then after you defeat it you can go back and win battles and get gear and so forth. I like how every time you do a battle you actually get all of these drops, or a combination of several instead of just one item. I think this would be a big win for Raid to kind of pick up something like this when they start doing their mystery shards, and then they could do the piece of gear and brews on top of. I think that would be much better than the system they have in. Everything about this game just feels more generous and more player friendly. One thing that I really like is these little vials you get. It's actually experience. So as you go through and defeat levels, you actually pick up experience. So even characters that are not in your party, you can then go back into your characters and level people up that weren't part of the fight. So if you wanted to put extra power into somebody like, what's his name? Urins, you can go in and level him up. He's on a max level, so I'd have to advance him first. So I can advance him, take him to 2 stars, which will allow him to go up to level 20. Currently he's maxed out at level 10. And then coming back to level up, I can max that out, take him to level 19 with all those potions that I've acquired. Or you can just level him up 1 level if you want to, using the potions that you acquired. So he doesn't have to be on the team to actually get leveled up, which I think is awesome. So you could kind of stockpile these as you get better and better characters. You could take them right to the max. And I've really been enjoying that. The other thing is there's a lot of ways to level up your character in this game. If you want to check this out, Ash and Saf put out a great video. MikeGoG has a lot of great videos on this, but they kind of go through and talk about leveling your champions and how to do it. But you can do level up with experience here, and you're maxed out on your star rating. So 1 star you get to level 10, 2 star 20, 3 star 30, and so on, all the way up to 6 stars. And then you can advance your character. That's how you move from star to star, and you get different materials. And every time you advance a character, it gets more and more difficult and requires more and more resources and better resources to advance them along the way. Then later on you open Awakening. That's where you start to get these purple stars, and you have a different resource that you're gathering to do that. And then Chivalry, I think, is one of the coolest parts about the game, because they have such fast drop rates, and they're generous with the legendaries they give out. There's got to be a use for duplicate legendaries. So this is what that is. So basically, if I pull Tristan 10 times, I will put him into this Chivalry, and each time he levels up, he gains a new piece of stat, just make him more powerful along the way. From what Saf was saying, level 8 is where you want to get. That is kind of the best of each of your characters, and then 9 and 10 are just kind of a little icing on the cake. So the game is fairly new. Currently there's 19, I think, 14, 5, 19. I think I'm doing my math there. 19 legendary characters. Rare characters are 20. Uncommons, they have 21, 24. And then common characters, there's 7. And they have been leaking legendary characters into the game. I do find it interesting there's not epic characters. I think that is a little bit of a miss because it starts to kind of have a hierarchy where you're moving directly from rare to legendary. But the legendary characters in this game do feel legendary. So far I've pulled 2 Morgans, and she is my best champion. And you get 1 Tristan starting out, and then I pulled a Tristan. So I've pulled 3 legendaries, and I still only have 2, and one of them is the one you get when you start. But I was able to level them up and get their chivalry moving, which is a huge advantage as well. From what I gather, the guy I really want is Bedivere. Apparently he's an amazing damage dealer, and then Guinevere is a great healer and support champion. But in the rare category, this girl, where she at Turin, has been doing a lot of work for me, and as far as rare support, she does a great job. So that's a kind of a great alternative until you get into some of the other characters. But like even Kay and I don't have Anguish yet, or Isolde? I don't know. But those rare characters actually can do a lot of work for you for a while in the game, and you can level them up and so forth. The other thing I like about this game is they do also offer this reset token, so you can actually reset a character and get all of your resources back out of that character. There was a limitation, and it might be the chivalry, I'm not sure, but there was a limitation on being able to actually reset. I only have 2 of them, so I don't want to try it. Plus, it's my best character anyway. I don't want to reset her. But if you start building a character that's really not useful, you can actually pull those resources out and move them to other champions, which I think is really cool. So the gearing system is pretty cool. It actually allows you to individualize your characters quite a bit. Over here, you're going to have flat stats, attack on the helmet, defense, and then HP on the boots every single time. But you have different gear sets that can do crit rate or life or attack up or all those different things. So on my Morgan, I've got 2 sets of crit rate, which gives me an added 17% per set. So that's 34% crit rate from those 2 sets. Over here, you get a little more variation where I think 3 stars and less, they're going to be the flat stats you have over here. But after the 3 stars, you can start getting into crit rate, crit damage, attack speed, so there you go on attack speed. It's only a 2 star, so maybe I made that up out of the 3 stars. But you start getting some of these other stats where you can kind of, again, fine-tune your character to what you need, which is pretty cool. Then down here, as you awaken your champion, you get additional things you can put on them to gain, I just started doing it, so I'm not too sure, but gain additional stats. And again, build them more fine-tuned to the role that you have them completing. In the relic space, it's super cool. You actually can get 3 different weapons, and the 3 different weapons actually change the A3. So depending on which relic you have, it'll change what the attack is going on the A3 for each one. Obviously, when you start with the champion, you're going to have the given relic they have, and then you're also able to actually level up the relic independent of the character. So with that, you're going to get more stats and get more power. So there's a lot of ways to really increase the champion in this game, which is a little overwhelming at first, but once you get the hang of it, it actually is pretty fun. Because when you get to a standstill, you have different ways of making your champion more likely to succeed. To actually move up in star ranking, we go through the advanced. Right now, as you can see, I've got 27 of these red orbs. I need to get to 50, and I recently just started being able to beat the Plane of the Beast level 7 is where you start to get the red orbs, which is really cool. So with that, I should be able to start getting some 6-star folks and start getting some of those red orbs. Another thing I think is amazing in this game is after you beat a battle 1 time, you can then move this cursor up, and I think the further you get in the game, you'll probably open up 4 times and even 5 times, but I'm not quite there yet because I've only been playing a week. But once I beat it 1 time, I can run through the battle. It requires 3 times the energy, but each battle counts for 3 battles. So it actually is going to move through pretty quick. I only have 27, so I can drop that down to here, do 2 times, and then I can also repeat the battle. So if I have enough energy to support it, you could repeat the battle as many times as you want, and that's available basically for free as long as you have the energy to support it, which I think is a huge win. I think Raid should take some notes on that, because that would be a big win for them, because the quality of life there is, these battles can take a while, but the reality is, if you're running it at 3 times speed and you're running it 3 times per run, and you could go up to 5 times per run. I could be running 50 power. I'd only have to run through this boar, twice to go through my daily energy. I think I have 100 right now. I think it goes up from here though, but so that's not too bad. So even if this battle takes me 2 or 3 minutes, it's still going to be worth it for me to spend the time to do that. And obviously, as my team gets better, I'll be able to beat the boar faster. The boar has some cool mechanics with the tusks. As you get rid of those, I believe it either slows him down or he hits less hard or something along those lines. So you typically want to take out the appendages before you go after the boar directly. But he does have kind of a Fire Knight mechanic where you have to hit him 12 times before you start doing damage on him. So having multiple hits becomes a strategy. I don't know that my team is really geared for it, but I've been able to get kind of through it a couple times. So that is pretty cool. And then when you kill him, you get those red orbs to start moving your characters into 6 stars. But we'll bring you back in here at the end. We're about ready to take the boar down to get those rewards. Hopefully we make it. It's getting a little tighter than usual. So, all right, we got him. So that was pretty close. But we did get that done. And then you can see with those 2 battles I ran, I ended up getting all these resources. Again, you got the experience here that I can use on any champion, which is pretty cool. Gold's always a benefit. And then all of these orbs add up to leveling up those champions and getting the next star rating. Another unique aspect of this game that I kind of like is you actually upgrade your castle. So I'm on level 4. You upgrade each of the towers and the forge and the market, and in those spaces, the higher your market rating is going to go, the better the things that you can find in the market. Supposedly, I haven't got that far yet, but from what I understand, that's the way it works. And then you make steel and you make wood to help move these things along, and then you upgrade those to do faster production and all that good jazz. So there's kind of a different aspect of the game, which is pretty cool. You got the Coliseum down here, which is basically the same thing as the arena. It seems to be unlimited, so you can play this as much as you want to. It hasn't told me I can't play it. And I think I did like 20 or 30 battles in a row, so it's kind of fun. You gain experience right here just by hanging out, which is kind of fun. And the different modes of the game, you have the hero event dungeon, the power-up dungeon. That's where you're going to find the boar, and then also the energy, so the burning land. So this guy's kind of a fun boss as well, but you get energy. You can put on a lot of champions as well as gold. But each of these will tell you exactly what you're hoping to get dropped there. So it's kind of, if you need to know what you're farming. Equipment and gear, you got a couple dragons in here. I haven't unlocked this guy here. It seems like the best gear is right here, from what I understand. So I don't know how much energy you want to put into farming in this space, but this is also a good place to get gear once you start getting further along in the game. Clan Raid I have not actually played with yet, so I don't know exactly what's going on there. In the Forbidden Dungeon, you get daily tickets to utilize. I've already used my 5, but once you've beaten a level, you can actually auto clear it and just get the resources, which is kind of cool. Obviously, you'd like to progress a little further and see how my character's a little further along. I'm looking forward to this reset, which it doesn't tell me when it's resetting. The whole season resets in 19 days, but it doesn't tell me when I actually get my next 5, but from what I understand, every single day you get 5 chances to go through that, and you get some good rewards in there, so you want to utilize that. So the favor dungeon is where I just unlocked this recently. This is how you awaken your champions. So depending on what faction they are or whatever it is, you go in and you get these different statues to help awaken your champions. So as you go into these levels, you're only allowed to use champions from that faction, which is kind of cool. It forces you to kind of build other champions, and again, forces you to use champions you typically wouldn't use, which I think is a dynamic aspect of the game. Typically only one of these is open at a time, but I just unlocked it, so it's giving me 3 days to kind of play around and go through and build teams to get those characters awakened, which again is another way of getting stats on your character. Another aspect of this game I'm super excited about is it is part of the immutable play, which was Guild of Guardians was in immutable as well. And so they've been talking about lining this up on the Beam blockchain and bringing out into Sphere. So they got them all together. I think there's avalanches in here. Where are they at? Yeah, so you got Polygon, Immutable, Beam, and Avalanche. These are all different cryptocurrencies that are working together to bring these different games. And so theoretically, they might bring the characters up as NFTs and bring them in as assets at some point in time. There's been some communication there. So that I'm going to look more into that to find out some more information, because I do think that is the future of gaming. I think it'd be a huge win if you're able to buy and sell these characters, buy and sell relics, all that good stuff. I think would be a phenomenal addition to the game. And as long as they keep characters coming into the game more than Gilded Guardians, because otherwise you just run out of content. There's folks that have been playing the game for a couple months now that are kind of getting to that point where they do need some in-game. I think MikeGoG has a great video about it, talking about bringing in-game back and focusing on that to keep players having challenges to move through. But in this game, there are a lot of different game modes that keep you moving. Like, I haven't even unlocked the Sealed Temple yet. And then you have the power-up dungeons. I haven't unlocked some of those yet. And the equipment dungeons, I've got a whole dragon I haven't even got to. So there's a lot of things in here that I have not got to yet. Obviously, I've only been playing for a week, so that makes sense. But after 30 days, after you're in the game, like, you don't want to get to a point where you're like, I got everything I need and I've pulled every character I wanted, which is kind of where I ended up with Gilded Guardians. By the time you're at day 30, that's about how much content's in the game, and so you start to get a little bored. That being said, with the upgrading of your castle and all the different aspects in the arena and the forge, you can forge your material as well as relics. There's a lot of ways to kind of enhance your characters and build on this game, so I think it's going to last a lot longer than 30 days. To be clear, I still plan on covering Godforge. I think Godforge is going to be an amazing game, and I can't wait to cover it. But I'm kind of looking for something to cover in the interim, and this game really caught my eye. And the more I play it, the more I don't want to go back and play Raid. So I'm kind of debating right now if I just let that free-to-play account go. Like, I'm having kind of fun with it, but all the frustrations are starting to come back, and I've been having a lot of fun here with King Arthur. I figure before we sign off, we'll go ahead and pull some characters, see if we can get lucky. Like I said, the drop rates in here seem to be pretty good. The animation's kind of fun too. But a lot of these are the normal ones. So got an uncommon character here. But again, the more copies of these characters you get, you feed into themselves, and they become more and more. How many? It didn't tell me how many rubies it was going to take. I was like, how many rubies is it going to take to make this a 10-pack? Well, apparently we did. But yeah, it makes them more and more powerful. So even some of the uncommon characters could be good. We got a rare right there. Let's find out who the rare is. We got Joseph. Let's see here. Douglas. I've gotten Douglas. Kenneth. Killian. Cormac. So I do have Cormac already, but that'll be another copy of him. I can get into his chivalry and assign himself to himself. Trying to think here. As you collect characters, I think there's only one. It's the shark, the uncommon character that I have not received. I've gotten all the commons and then all the uncommons except for the shark. And then the rare characters, there's quite a few I haven't gotten yet. So it was 40. So I spent 80 rubies on making that a 10-pack. Well, all right. Well, you know what? We'll keep it going. So here we could do a 10-pack potentially. It's going to cost 450. Let's go ahead and do it. We're going to go ahead and get that 10-pack going. Hopefully get a legendary. I'd love to get a Bedivere. He would be amazing. Also a Guinevere. We did not. We got two rares though. Two rares. Let's find out. So Gareth we already have. But again, we can feed her in and make her a little more powerful, especially for those the dungeons for her faction. I'm actually using her, so that's going to be helpful. Another Cormac. So typically on the rares, I think it does require 2 copies of the rare in order to enhance them or to move up their chivalry level. So having 2 copies not a problem there. And we did not get a legendary character, unfortunately, but that just means we're moving forward. So you can see now in the in that poll on the special summons, I was at 55 until a guaranteed summon. Now I'm at 45. So after we pull another 45 of those summoning stones, summoning tokens, I'm not sure what they're called, then we're guaranteed to get a legendary. So that is actually really cool. And I like that in game it keeps track of that for you. It's kind of nice where I don't feel like any shady business is going on the side, and it's a reasonable amount of pulls versus 220. Looking at you, Raid. But anyway, so that's some summons for you before we head out. But that's about what I got for you today. Let me know in the comments below if you've tried the game, if you think it looks cool, what parts of the game you're most excited about. And I'm going to keep on keeping on and see how it goes. But I appreciate you spending the time here today. If you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, please do so. It means the world to me. And I look forward to seeing you next time.